the CHP will fall back on the ground to stay away from any other vehicles in the area and hopefully get this person to slow down by not pressuring it from behind. But when they get on surface streets like this, the danger level rises quite high because you have that cross traffic and pedestrians as you were talking about.
Well, we saw the LAPD helicopter. Now that we're on these surface streets, LAPD much more familiar with these streets than perhaps CHP. Will they do a handoff or not just yet, because this suspect could easily get back onto another freeway?
It depends on the watch commander from the CHP whether they're going to take or ask for the local law enforcement to take over LAPD in this fact. If it stays on surface streets too long, they will. If it stays on surface streets too long, they will do that.
Discovering that on Vinted, her closet can make her extra cash. All she has to do is sell what she no longer wears. She just snaps, lists, and sells her pre-loved pieces. And with zero selling fees,
if it stays on surface streets too long, they will do that.
Don't wear it, sell it. Download Vinted.
Pluto TV has a universe of free content.
Who makes that contact, you have to determine quickly suspect, a co-conspirator, or point at this let about, or it's a co-conspirator who's just decided, I want no more do with this, and ask to stop and get out. So we see that all the time with vehicles where people start bailing out of the doors, just getting away from the vehicle, hoping to escape. But hopefully a trailing unit picked her up. But the way this car is moving around these very narrow streets in here, and also with the tree cover, it's really tough for the tactical flight officer to keep an eye on it. But looks like the driver is just kind of working its way around these small city streets, but luckily not at a high rate of speed to where it's going to cause a lot of problems for people driving around this neighborhood.
I just wonder if the driver knows where they're going. Highland Park can have some, as we're saying, narrow streets. I get lost in communities like Highland Park because there's so many streets that go up into hills and that are narrow into neighborhoods. But we're able to track this one so far. We do have some footage from the freeway earlier where we saw the driver weaving in and out of traffic there on the freeway. Well, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, you're looking at one freeway view here on the I-5, and then you're looking at the top box where the driver's still in the neighborhood. So look, watch here. The driver comes up on all of this traffic on the I-5, weaves around to squeeze into wherever the vehicle is trying to go. So that's concerning right there, I'm sure, for law enforcement right away. You see the efforts that this driver's making to get away. Tim?
Yeah, you see that just forcing the way through traffic. And an interesting thing I noticed when we had a tight shot, there is not a license plate on this vehicle. There is a dealer name, but you do not have that temporary license plate that's issued by the dealerships once this vehicle is sold and taken off. So what that kind of tells me is you may have a situation here where this vehicle was taken off a new car lot or maybe on a test drive, and that could have been a sales lady getting out, but with the baggage she was carrying, it might not be. But that's the first thing standing out to me right now. But you can tell this person on the freeway was doing everything they could to get away, and on surface streets still holding up that speed, going around traffic and getting on the wrong side of the road. So the LAPD and CHP are going to have to be very careful with this person, try to keep eyes on from above, and hopefully this person will stop before somebody is seriously hurt.
Well, Tim, we're going to let you stand down. We're going to step away from this right now. I'm going to give some added information before we do that real quick as we watch these speeds here pick up. So this was LAPD on this initially. Person wanted for reckless driving. Obviously, there's perhaps a little more to the story there because of the way they're trying to get away. They dropped off some kind of passenger, a woman, don't know her story. And now we have this driver in the Highland Park area. CHP jumped onto it, but we're being told that they have backed off, and this is now a following. So given that nature of that, we will step away to continue to bring our viewers some very important news of the day. We'll go back to it if we need to. Tim, thanks so much. Now we have this driver in the Highland Park area. CHP jumped onto it, but we're being told that they have backed off, and this is now a following. So given that nature of that, we will step away to continue to bring our viewers some very important news of the day. We'll go back to it if we need to. Tim, thanks so much. President Trump is again calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired.
Piedmont right now, and look at this. He's going to go right around traffic as I come out wide. This might be a female driver. I'm hearing the airship talking about possibly a female driver here, so it might have been two females in the vehicle. The passenger, of course, being let off at Avenue 50 and near Figueroa, but the driver here continuing on, going around traffic, running stop signs like that. And we'll see if those LAPD units get in position here shortly.
And our sense is this was initiated due to reckless driving. At this point, that's the information we have. This driver has slowed considerably in the last 5 minutes or so. But when we first got over this, it was a much different story, as there was a passenger involved at the beginning of this. As we mentioned, the woman, female passenger, jumped out with a backpack or a bag of sorts, and the driver obviously continuing on. But reckless driving, we believe, is what triggered this. Obviously, the sum total of charges will increase considerably if and when law enforcement gets back behind this suspect and brings him or possibly her into custody. We're saying that it may well be a female behind the wheel here, as indicated by law enforcement chatter. But you saw that very dangerous move right there, that going around a car that's trying to make a left-hand turn. People don't, when you're driving, you don't expect to see something like this coming up behind you. You're not anticipating it, and so when it happens, you know, it can startle you and cause an accident, cause other people to lose control of their vehicle. It's very dangerous, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at high speeds for that danger to be present.
Absolutely right. Here he goes, blowing through, just kind of rolling through stop signs here. I'm listening again to the LAPD discuss this matter. They are talking about being comfortable with only surveilling it for now and moving in on the vehicle once it stops or the person gets out to try to run. So I imagine, I can't see it, but I can only imagine that they have units in the vicinity waiting for this vehicle to stop and see if that driver gets out, and they'll move in on that person. But for now, the vehicle here just kind of rolling through stop signs, being a little cautious. And I'm hearing now, let me see here, I'm going to come out wide. Okay, they're talking about trying to get a ground unit behind it right now, and possibly involve the CHP as well. We'll see if they get involved on this proceed, even though it's on surface streets.
Right. That would be interesting if the CHP gets involved as well here in this neighborhood. And, you know, as we've been watching this driver go around this neighborhood, you wonder if maybe perhaps that they are familiar with this neighborhood as they pull into this gas station. Are they going to stay? Okay, they're going to try and get to the other side. And, you know, what particularly struck me was when the woman passenger got out of the car on Avenue 50 in Figueroa and just casually walked up the stairs as if that was where she lived. And, you know, this hasn't left the area since we've been on top of it. And, so you wonder if maybe perhaps this driver, female or male, is familiar with this area and just kind of trying to figure out what their next move is going to be.
That's absolutely right. Staying close to where that passenger was let off, not too far. We're Avenue 57 here in Buchanan, but the driver content with driving in this area. So you're right. This driver may, whether it's a male or female, be familiar with this area, might be looking for a place to dump the car and try to run away on foot. But so far, LAPD content with staying overhead in the helicopter.
And so the tracking continues from above. Law enforcement on the ground aware of the situation and in the vicinity, though they have not decided to engage again at this point. We do know some officers were involved in a minor collision early on in this adventure, if you want to call it it was some sort of a carpool adventure. You had the passenger get out and the driver decides to keep going. The longer they sort of circle in the same neighborhood, the more likely it is you see a foot bail. And you wonder if this driver is trying to figure out whether he or she is actually being followed. Obviously, this is happening from the air. We've seen the LAPD chopper come in and out of the frame a few times. The LA County Sheriff's Department has been involved from the air as well. And again, a question as to whether CHP might be involved. Or get involved while it's on a surface street. That would be interesting and rather unusual, frankly. But if this driver decides to get back on the freeway, all bets are off and the situation changes. There's a clear look at what appears to be a female.
It's
I don't
hard
know if
to
you
tell. I mean,
yeah.
is there a mask on up there? I don't know.
What you see, Gil, but our vantage point's probably better.
I don't know. Whatever it is a little
behind it,
terrifying. It looks like
she
has
that's
a mask.
hard to see.
Okay, so we're going to try and get another look at that driver as they make their way through. Looks like the downtown area. This is we still don't have CHP. I'm sorry. Well, LAPD on the ground following. And there you go. And the want right now, Gil, from what we started with, was possibly reckless driving. And is that has that been confirmed yet?
It hasn't been confirmed. Our assignment desk working on that information from LAPD, but we just saw the driver cross the double yellows. Look at that, right through pedestrians crossing the street there. So the driver willing to still drive erratic here. Here he goes, or she goes, into the double yellows there a little bit, and then continuing on at a higher rate of speed now. So let me look and see if they got a unit behind it, because he or she started picking up speed here as we were talking there. So we'll see what's up with that. But
to go as we came on the air, running a red light right in front of South Pasadena PD, who immediately turned around and tried to catch up with the suspect, lighting her up or him up, and again, you can see refusing to pull over. Now, whether they have now jumped on the 110 freeway with the suspect vehicle, I cannot say yet, but when you get a chance, Josh, go ahead and widen out and see if there's any indication. Yes, there he is. South Pasadena is now in pursuit of this suspect vehicle, southbound side of the 110 freeway in Highland Park, now wanted by a completely different jurisdiction for running that red light in front of that cruiser. LAPD has taken a very hands-off approach here as that suspect vehicle has just kind of, as I said, meandered through town. Finally, a different agency has tried to catch up with the suspect who is now refusing to pull over on the freeway. Now, South Pass will likely call for backup unless this slows down, or
South Pass has just
pull
bailed.
off. And now you saw him pull right off there without CHP. And now you saw him pull right off there without CHP in the picture. South Pass by himself was not going to continue the pursuit on the freeway. So unfortunately, South Pass gives it up. LAPD still watching from above. They're not even in tracking mode right now. They're really just letting this driver burn off some gas and see if anything else happens here. They really are just kind of keeping an eye on it for lack of a better term, they're just kind of keeping an eye on it.
Or burn off some electricity. I guess
electricity,
this is an all EV Chevy Volt,
exactly.
so we don't even know how much charge this person has, and maybe that'll impact when they decide to stop.
Indeed. All right, we're going to keep an eye on that pursuit and the following of this reckless driver. In the meantime, there's other news to cover, of course. The man who's accused of storming the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend, making his first court appearance today. He's
was awake, right? You were right. Copy. Is it a man? Water? Whoa. Dropping the vehicle off, bailing on the freeway. Yeah. What school is that when you get a chance? Let's come around, Kyle, see if we can. Maybe he might be trying to climb. Yeah, maybe he's going to go up the walkway. Here he is. Hey, Booth, you up? Booth, are you up? Sure. Yes. They should be pulling in here any second. Yeah, really erratic behavior, Michelle. The driver of that Chevy Volt, that's the driver right there, basically dumped the vehicle in the middle of the 110 freeway and then tried to climb through a fence along an embankment off of the freeway over a pedestrian path, has now walked about at least a quarter of a mile as LAPD attempts to get units in this neighborhood and potentially catch up with this suspect. They are now watching him walk down the street here at Avenue 33 in Humboldt. We're going to keep an eye on this one for you guys and bring you the latest coming up. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Hands up. Okay, copy that. Yeah, he's now being placed under arrest. You can see several LAPD officers with the suspect prone down on the ground, placing him in handcuffs. This is the driver of that Chevy Volt, rather. As he walked almost a half mile from the freeway. Avenue. Guys, back to you.